So hi, welcome to Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with...
I am Livingston. Nice to meet you.
We're going to have some questions to say about his upcoming single, Gravedigger. So congrats on that, by the way. How do you feel about the response to the announcement so far?
Thank you so much. I mean, it's been a wild ride with this song. It's definitely, for better or worse, the longest I've ever teased a song before it's come out. And I think the highlight has just been playing it in every city all through the US and through Europe on tour. And just being surprised that at every city more and more people know the whole song. And it's been really exciting to get closer to it coming out.
Absolutely. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of comments on Instagram that was like, this song is finally coming out. So like how long have you been teasing it for? Because it seems like your fans have been wanting it for quite a while.
It's deeply embarrassing amount of time. Unnecessary. 4 months.
Oh geez.
4 months.
Though I will say it was a bit of a casualty of a technical failure as well, because when I was about to turn in the song for mix right before tour, I was getting ready to bounce the files out of the project session in Logic, and I'm not joking, the project file literally just dematerialized, fully disappeared in front of my eyes, and I couldn't find it for like a week and a half, and I lost my mind. I was like trying to find it everywhere, and then at the last second before I had to go on tour, it reappeared, and I got to send it off to mix. So thankfully, it gets to exist in the world because of that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Now, out of curiosity, your last record came out in March of this year. This song is coming out on Friday. Is this connected to the album in any sort of way, or is this the start of a new project, a standalone single? Like, what is the vibe for this song?
I think this is the front runner for the deluxe of A Hometown Odyssey. And what I wanted to do with the deluxe is just find a few songs to capture the biggest, most dramatic emotions that Aho carried, especially because I have some hindsight on that album now that it's been out for a while and people have received it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Hell yeah.
All right. Sounds good. So is there any meaning behind the single title or cover art?
Yeah, I think, Gravedigger is such a striking title because it's such a dark word. And even if you listen to the hook, it has such dark connotations. But then as you get through the song, especially with the bridge, you start to realize, and this was intentional when we were writing it, it's actually a song about kind of being in the darkest place of your life and then realizing that you have the power to find your way out of that, and to find new light and new perspective and new lessons from those valleys that feel really, really dark. So even though it's packaged as this really dark and kind of gloomy title, there is really some light to it, which is why, we didn't want to go fully dark with the cover art where it was just kind of shrouded in mystery. It has some elements that feel kind of gloomy and some elements that feel like there's some hope into it, just with the expression. And I'm just really excited for people to find whatever meaning they want inside of the song, to be honest.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about your writing process for this single?
Yeah, so this one took some twists and turns. Typically, how it works with my songwriting is I have a concept or a lyric that hits me, and then it kind of cooks for a few weeks, and I'll think about what it means, and it'll land on a progression, and then kind of find its way into becoming a song, and then I produce it. This song actually started 3 years ago in a session with Oak Felder and the Orphanage and the songwriter Maya Kay, and we just spent a couple days talking and writing other songs together. And she came to me one morning and she was like, I was thinking about the conversation we were having yesterday about kind of the circular kind of reasoning that you go into with anxiety. And I had this idea for this title, Gravedigger. And I don't know like where it goes or what form that takes, but I was like, oh my gosh, this is the first time really someone's brought me a concept based on a conversation that wasn't just a word that's been cooking in my head. Like it felt like that word and the idea that you brought really captured a lot of things that I was feeling at that time. So we spent the whole day kind of hacking away at finding out what that meant and writing the rest of the lyrics for that hook. And then 3 years later, I kind of took an original demo, kept just part of that hook, and then rewrote all the verses and the bridge to kind of fit where my life was at. So it's a very long evolution of that song, but there's cool things about that too.
Absolutely.
Sure.
At what point in your album process, or was this post album, that you came back to this song and started reworking it?
It was post album because it was kind of just following me around. Like I think the songs that I over time feel the strongest about, kind of it's like a little forest creature that just doesn't stop like throwing pebbles at me
Yeah.
from the side of the path, you know? Because songs, you know, especially when you write a lot of them that you love, you'll remember how they feel in the moment, and
Mhm.
they'll just bring you so much joy. You'll be so excited, but then you make something new and that catches your attention, and then you're like, well, I'm living in the land of this song now, and I've kind of whatever that had, please disregard it. But then yeah, they kind of just chase you around, and Gravedigger was one of those where I was like, you know what, when I see a song like Shadow and how that's hitting people and how it's hitting me even 2 years after I wrote it, Gravedigger's just kind of a heavier, bigger version of that emotion. So I was like, what if we go back there? And I had to scratch the itch. So that's why I went back to it.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
Makes sense.
Sounds good. So, would you be able to tell us what your favorite lyric is off this song and the meaning behind it?
Hmm. I think the bridge sticks out to me the most. It's a long lyric, but it's cold-blooded youngin'. He was born from death. Could have touched the sky, but he was stuck in his head. What a shame, what a shame. Guess we'll wait for the next till I rise from the ashes. What you think I said? And what that means to me is my biggest issue in general, I feel like is overanalyzing, over systematizing, projecting, just getting too in the micro details of how to do things right and how to create good songs and how to promote well and how to chase this thing that I love so much but have to turn into a job. And the more that I found myself doing that growing up, I realized there was this kind of paradox of thinking so much got in the way of just acting and trusting the process and
Mm.
trusting the songs, you know?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's where it comes in. The could have touched the sky, but he was stuck in his head. I think there were moments you know, that lyric's very much about my younger self, where it's like, you know, I have all this potential, but I'm literally just running circles in my own head. And then the end of that bridge is just kind of breaking out of that and saying, you know what, I'm not going to let my mind rule me, and I'm going to find a way out of that.
Damn right.
Oh yeah,
Hmm.
love that. Now you've touched on it a little bit, but if you'd like, you can go a bit more in depth. Where was your headspace at while you were writing and creating this song?
Yeah, I think it was in how do you create a huge dynamic between emotions? How can you have something that feels really heavy and really dark, but also something that feels really hopeful, and really powerful? Because I don't think that I write the type of songs um, that land in a very dark place. At least right now, you know, I never know.
Mm.
You never know where life is going to take you, or where you're going to be inspired next. But I do feel like I'm in this place of my life where I feel so many heavy things, but I also feel hope at the end of the road of even kind of the darker periods as of late. And so it was taking this concept that feels so dark and saying, how do you spin this, and how do you land it in a place that can bring someone hope and that can bring me clarity, you know?
Mm.
And hacking away at that was fun, and I think the bridge helped get it there for sure.
Hell yeah.
Damn right.
Is that kind of where you're at, like just mentally right now, is like kind of trying to spin everything and kind of shine this positive light on it in your music?
You know, I think it's all dependent on what the emotion of the song is. I think for a song that touches on anxiety and fear, that feels like the natural contrast for me.
Mm.
But I think with a lot of the new stuff I've been writing, it's just so much different emotion. And I think that what's great about the other two songs on the deluxe is they feel a lot different than this one does, tonally and story wise. But for this, I feel like just um, seeing how Shadow was resonating with people, it just inspired me so much to go back and try to write a bigger story about a similar experience, but see if I felt different about it 2 years later into life.
Hmm.
Gotcha.
Fucking love it. So this one should be super, super quick off the top of your head. I want you to describe this track for new listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
Heavy,
Okay.
powerful,
Gotcha.
hopeful.
Lovely. Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah.
And in that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have while going through this track?
I want them to feel like they have everything within them to conquer what's in front of them.
Oh, damn. That's fucking powerful. All right. Sure. Fuck yeah. And what is your favorite memory that you made while creating this track?
I remember I was in I had just moved to a different part of LA because my house had very recently gotten hit by a landslide,
Oh shit.
I basically had to uproot and then just go to a different part of town. And I had just built my studio, and I had a couple months before I had to go on tour.
Oh.
And um, I remember my girlfriend was making this amazing dinner in the kitchen, and I could smell it, and I was like, this is just going to be epic. And I'm like inspired, and I'm working on Gravedigger. And I remember I found that melody on the dun 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 dun, and I was like, this is sick, baby, you hear this? And I was like, you hear what's happening, right? Like, is that cool, or am I like just chasing down something weird? She's like, no, that's cool. That's a cool sound. So yeah, I think it was finding that kind of playful, ironic, Tim Burton-y, Danny Elfman-y melody line at the beginning
Mhm.
against the really heavy and dark chord progression is what kind of started the song fresh for me. And I was like, this is cool. We're back with
Fuck
it.
yeah.
We're so
That's
back.
such a
Hell
sweet
yeah.
memory.
So since you're gearing up for tour this fall, very curious, like what is some go-tos that you need to have with you when you're packing for tour? Like what can you
Ooh,
not leave without?
that's great. Um, no sponsorship, but this Whoop thing, I like it a lot because it's like a sleep tracker and a health tracker, and um, I've just become obsessed with trying to optimize like sleep and recovery just because tour is it's kind of a beating. It's just like over. I mean, you're doing the same thing and sometimes without a ton of sleep. So it's that's definitely essential. What else? Hmm. Comfortable t-shirts. I'm big into like if the t-shirt game has to be good. You have very few constants on the road. Bringing me also to luggage. I'm a bit of a nerd for luggage because if you're gonna be living out of a suitcase, the suitcase is effectively your house.
Mhm.
And you know, you want a nice house. If you can have a nice house on the road when there is no house, then that's a blessing. So yeah, those three things. So Whoop, suitcase, and t-shirts. I'm a simple man.
Hey, that's
Fuck
really all you
yeah.
need. They say what? No shoes, no shirt is what they don't serve you with. So as long as you have those things with you, you're good.
Yeah, we can get into restaurants
You're good, yeah.
we're good.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's all you need, man. And on the topic of tour, what is your go-to snack at a gas station or rest stop?
Ooh, probably like beef jerky or protein bars.
Fuck
Yeah.
yeah. You got a favorite flavor of protein bar?
Uh, I'm a bit of a fiend for the like the salted caramel kind of vibe or like something with
Ooh.
peanut butter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of my go-to.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
And on the topic of food, if your project was a dish, what dish would it be and why?
Ooh, I think like a steak, but not like a fancy, overly expensive, overcharged steak. Just like a solid steak and potatoes and vegetables. Um, essentials. You get your vitamins, you get your essential nutrients, and most importantly, you get your protein and go about the rest of your day feeling maybe a little bit better about it.
Hell yeah, love that.
Hell yeah. I love that. Yeah. And for the last couple questions, we're actually gonna shift away from music if that's okay with you.
Sure.
So we're actually gonna go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row, would your last meal be with a drink?
Ooh, I would probably go for the biggest sushi boat you have ever seen in your entire life, bar none. And like as many as you like a wooden sushi boat, the kind that they bring out if you like order for 5 people, and a lot of my favorite drink now. I like ginger ale. Big
Nice.
ginger ale guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ginger ale solid. I would say it's underrated a little bit.
I think it's heavily underrated. I think we're going to see a big ginger ale resurgence. I put my bets on ginger ale right now.
Yeah, I put my bets like fall or maybe spring 2025. We're gonna see ginger ale stocks go up.
We're going to be up big on ginger ale for sure.
I agree. Yeah. And I've asked the last question. Every single person that we've spoken to have said that it is the most important question. What's your favorite color?
Green.
Specific shade of green?
a forest, sort of a mystical forest green. Yeah.
That's solid. That's very good. Hell yeah. So as I said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
No, just Gravedigger coming out on Friday. So much more in the works, and I appreciate your time, guys.
Hell
Thanks for
yeah.
hanging with me.
Well, thank you, Sniles. It's been Livingston, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.